Up in the ring, Boyd Pierce is ready to introduce this event to you, so we'll spring up there and pick him up.
This event, 2 out of 3 fall, 45-minute time limit. In the white corner, James J. Dillon presents the world's strongest man at 300 pounds, Ken Patera. 220 pounds from the Fiji Island in the white corner, we welcome back to Houston, popular Jimmy Snuka. Your referee, Danny McShane.
So, Jimmy Snuka, the Fijian flyer, a guy who can whiz around through the air in great fashion and who is the man that you see leaping off the top rope every time you see Houston wrestling on Channel 39. You see him on the opening of our program as he whips through the air and lands on his opponent. He hopes to be able to do that to Ken Patera here tonight. Jimmy Snuka, born in Fiji, raised in the Solomon Islands, and then later to Hawaii, where he became interested in bodybuilding, and now a name to be reckoned with in the professional wrestling field. The noise you hear in the background is coming from people as Ken Patera tries to divest himself of his magnificent brocaded wrestling pants. Well, he finally managed to get partly through the operation that time. This match now for 2 out of 3 falls, and Ken Patera, the world's strongest man. But I want to tell you, when it comes to strength, Jimmy Snuka is not exactly deficient. Those muscles that he has were started with the simple things in life, like rowing an outrigger, fishing, climbing coconut trees, and in games of skill with the other people in his village. He is no stranger to athletic action of all kinds, and you can tell from the size of his arms, which match those of Patera, who is the first man in this country to lift 500 pounds over his head in competition. Why, you know that he had to take a lot of work to get those arms in that shape. So Patera eyes Jimmy Snuka, and Snuka is up there and ready to match him. Patera is tough. He's got his manager, James J. Dillon, in the corner, and here we have the spectacle of two guys who are trying to outdo each other in the infighting, in the business of getting close and using the referee's hold and jerking a man around. Here comes Patera. Snuka trying to outbalance him. Look at the way that guy can jump. Tremendous. And he get him with a cross body block. There's 1, 2, and Jimmy Snuka reverting to the tribal instincts, and there comes Dillon racing around to give advice to Ken Patera. So Snuka flew through the air that time and found his target and really brought this crowd up to its feet. There's Jimmy. Now, this is Jimmy's first appearance in Texas in about 2 years right now, and he has hit the high spots. He has wrestled up and down the East Coast and made a tremendous hit. Patera, he tries to keep from being shown up by the strength of Snuka because he features strength and is proud of it. Look at the leap of that man. I'll be doggone. And Jimmy Snuka with a classic pose comes around to slam into Ken Patera. So Dillon out there commiserates with his strongman and calls for timeout. I don't think he's going to find timeout waiting for him here. Listen to these fans here as they suddenly turn the Coliseum into a place of uproar to back Jimmy Snuka. And Snuka now has learned to move with measured tread, and yet when he slips out of that steadied, studied pace, he suddenly becomes a speed demon, and that's what counts. It isn't how fast you move between holds, it's how fast you move when you're applying them. Snuka now with the side headlock. And he grabs the blonde head of Patera to do something with it. And Snuka is hanging on well. Look at the size of that arm. And Patera, who threw Snuka far and wide, was bragging about it that time when he was suddenly struck. Jimmy landed on his feet. Beautiful move by Snuka. Well balanced. So hanging on with the side headlock is Snuka. And Jimmy puts Ken Patera in problem territory as Dillon moves up and down now with that worried look on his face and scratching his head, thinking he's going to find the answer to it. So Patera, strength and all, is in trouble as that big arm keeps putting the squeeze to his head. Enough of those and you can hear the bees buzz. Now you see him jerking that head around and jerking that arm around in good fashion. He's got an arm that fits around there perfectly without any wasted effort. And there goes Snuka. And he takes him over beautifully. And this crowd here lets him know it. They're Snuka fans, and they always have been. During the time that he's been away from Texas, and in spite of the fact that he has been doing so very well on the East Coast, fans have been asking for him to come back here where he made a great hit and where he is making a great hit again. And again, he comes with that edge of the hand blow and applies it nicely. Snuka. Good, solid side headlock. Dillon, every time that arm goes whipping around the head, he has a tizzy over there, just trying to figure out what sort of advice he can give Ken Patera that's going to keep him out of trouble. Patera now trying to put a bear hug in there. He's trying to get that spot just underneath the ribs and between the ribs and the hip, and to cinch in on it if he possibly can. He was over to the side that time, but now he's lost that advantage, and he is expecting the hold to be broken by the referee. He timed it right. He was ready immediately. Ken Patera laying in that big fist of his, and big fist is what he's got. And Patera moves in solidly, clamps down on top of Snuka's head, pushes his throat against that rope, and uses the rope to strangle him. So Snuka's having his problems. Close up of the action as Patera that time got in there with that driving knee of his against Jimmy Snuka's ear. And now the Fijian's in trouble because prolonged punishment of the type that a man as strong as Patera can deliver can only blast you apart and upset all your intentions. And Jimmy Snuka got a delay that time, but here goes Patera for a back body drop, and oh man, on top is Patera, and there's enough strength left in Snuka for him to work his way out from underneath. Reverse chin lock. Snuka hangs on. Snuka's got the head. Snuka's got those powerful arms of his up in close. And he can look at the size of the forearms with relation to the size of Snuka's head, and you get some idea what we're talking about. Patera is a hard-working athlete, a man who trains constantly. 10 minutes have gone by. This is a 2 out of 3 fall match. There have been no falls as yet. We saw the hair pulling, but the referee was at a different angle, and he was unable to see it. And of course, that's what Patera was trying to do, is create that sort of a situation. Reverse chin lock. And Snuka's in trouble. But he was in trouble before, and he has managed to survive it. So as the hold starts to take its effect, Danny McShane checks that arm. If the arm had fallen again, he would have stopped the fall right there and given it to Patera. But Snuka straightened out that arm to let him know that there was still consciousness and still plenty of strength left. And Patera tries to fight off the efforts of Snuka to give him trouble. There's the escape, and here's Patera going for a tackle, but it didn't. Oh, look at the way that man can run. Oh. He bounced in there and came down, and now we've got Ken Patera going for a dive. And dive it is with a rabbit punch at the end, and Jimmy Snuka's now going to face his toughest decision. If he can get out of it, he will. No, he did not stay in it. He got out of it. And Dillon on the outside looks disgusted, almost as much as to say, how much does it take to get this man to quit? And I'll tell you, any normal individual would have quit just about that point and have quit with honor. Snuka. He's throwing forearm blows. He's throwing edge of the hand blows tonight, and he's throwing wallops with his fist, which is quite a varied assortment. And now the tide is turning, but he hit him with a beautiful reverse chop that time, and you can see what happened to Patera. He hit him in the head, but he landed with a thud on his brain that time, and it stunned him. Snuka into the ropes, and this time it's Snuka who hits, and hits hard. And again, he comes with that body block, but it's Patera on top, and Patera and McShane got the count that time. Holy cow. Jimmy Snuka hit Patera high. They rolled completely over. They came down, and Snuka was underneath. Patera's legs were high up in the air on the ropes. The referee dove for the shoulders and was concentrating on counting the shoulders down, and that prevented him from seeing it. He is not getting any straight answers from Jimmy Dillon. You can bet your boots on that. And Dillon is trying to talk his way out of it. So we'll be back here in a moment. Right now, we pause for this word from the studio. Now the second fall starts, and the crowd has not yet stopped hollering about the first fall. And Jimmy Snuka now is more aware of what happened to him than ever. He has started after the world's strongest man, Ken Patera. But when you start following Ken, you've got to be careful. He's strong from his head to his toes. But look at Jimmy Snuka now as he comes in with his best weapons, and that's one of them. That driving, crashing wallop with the head. Patera into the ropes above us, and oh, how he landed. What a crashing fall. And Snuka slams him down and looks for the opportunity to dive head first into Ken Patera. And there's Snuka. He's looking around at that crowd, and they're screaming for him to give Ken Patera another one. He does, and much in the same fashion with that wild driving headbutt of his. McShane got a 2 count that time, but not a 3 count, and that's what the crowd's looking for. It's Patera being lifted by the Fijian, Jimmy Snuka, and Patera caught a beauty that time. Right smack between the eyes. Snuka trying now to use that rope as in the same manner that Patera used it in the first fall, and that is to use it to choke. Man down, Patera. This could be a fall, but there goes a foot over the rope, and this time Patera's foot on the rope saves him again. Before it actually gave him a fall, and now as he gets that foot up there, it keeps him from being pinned and losing a fall. So Ken Patera gets an opportunity in behind. He's going for the full Nelson. This is the hold that he has used with devastating effectiveness here, and a hold that is capable of breaking a man's neck. Patera knows it. So does Snuka. Snuka has a powerful neck, but I'll tell you, it's difficult to, under ordinary circumstances, to fight off a full Nelson, much less to fight it off when it's being applied by the world's strongest man. So McShane looks, but the hold is legal, and Snuka's head is going down on his chest. Crowd now screaming to Jimmy Snuka, trying to encourage him to manipulate his way out of this hold if he can't actually strong arm his way out. He got out of it, but whether it cost him to get out of it also remains to be seen. Patera going, well, I was going to say he would move in to follow up with that hold again if he could. Crotch, lift, and slam. And here comes Patera. Look, he looked for it, but he didn't find it. He was looking to chop his head off, and it didn't quite work out that way. Snuka stepping in to do the belting. And he swung around there with a hard driving foot. Yes, barefooted. But I'll tell you, those feet of his are just as solid as if he was wearing army boots. And again comes Snuka. And now Snuka has come to life. And here he is with the slap dance and maneuvering in there to show these fans what he means. Oh. He went flying through the air that time, and Patera just drew those knees up in self-defense. And here's the fall. There's one, there's two, and Danny McShane spotted the foot on the rope this time, and there is no fall. There is no fall, and here is Snuka going flying. There goes Jim Dillon. We've got a fall. We've got a fall as Jimmy Snuka wraps him up in a small package and puts him down onto that canvas and keeps him there. Jimmy Snuka. Has equalized falls. Jimmy Dillon is still belly aching about what has happened. And Ken Patera has lost this fall to Jimmy Snuka, the flying Fijian. We'll be back here in a moment. We'll have more action for you after we have this word from the studio. The final fall, the third and final fall. Patera took the first one. Snuka is still exulting for having equalized things, and the fans have exulted with him during this brief intermission between falls. And now, with the world's strongest man facing a man who has proven that he can put his shoulders down to that canvas, why, this is the all-important one. Patera, he's got a solid arm. I'll tell you, when he hits you there with that well-muscled arm, it's like slamming you with a 2x4. Patera now trying to wear Snuka down. Snuka looking for the opening, finding it. He's going for the knee drop, and he hits that atomic drop, and down goes Ken Patera. Here is Snuka stepping in for the equalize as he starts pounding away. He's got the stuff. He got ripped across the face that time by Ken Patera. Patera came across there with the forearm, the wrist, and the fingers of his hand in the direction of the eyes, and he ripped it right across there. This could be it. On top is Ken Patera, but you got to stay there. When you can stay there and that count comes to 3, you're with it. Bear hug. Patera putting it on Jimmy Snuka, laying it in there. Patera now, as he comes around from the side, he tries to get that bear hug so that he's underneath the ribs of Snuka, and Snuka is shaking that head of his and saying no, he's not going to quit, because Danny McShane is popping the question to him. And when you say bear hug, you got a man that's built like a bear applying that hold. Notice how he shortens those arms, reaches up his own arm to grab himself above the wrist and to pull that arm in there close and tight. And this time Snuka gave Patera a taste of his own medicine. Flying Mare, and on top is Jimmy Snuka. And again, when he shoots that head forward, he doesn't miss. Patera looking now to, whoa, and as Patera come in, over the top they go, and a hard fall. They both went over that top rope, and that is a difficult way to land. Neither man had control over his own fate that time as he came by, and Dillon is trying to push Patera in there, but Patera hasn't made it yet, and Snuka starts after James J. Dillon and has him on the floor, and we've got the action swelling to the outside of the ring as Snuka goes after him, and here is Patera, who is doing the chasing, and the action continues long and hard against both of them. The bell has sounded, and Ken Patera got back into the ring, and I haven't heard an announcement from the
4 minutes, 45 seconds.
and it's both men counted outside the ring, and Irish Danny McShane calls this match a draw. Patera got back in the ring first, but the fact that he got into the ring first is not evidence of winning. He was not in before the count of 20. We'll be back here in a moment. We'll have more action for you after we have this word from the studio.